Even in the quietest of circles. You see, the world we live in has many kinds of people. But there is one kind so rare, so deeply carved by suffering, by solitude, and by silence that even the darkest forces pause before them. I speak of the elite 1% of dark chosen ones. Souls who have walked through every fire and still bow to no flame. These are not just people. They are realms of consciousness in human form. They are born not to be popular, not to be praised but to endure, to carry truths too heavy for others to hold, and because of that, they often live in shadows, unseen, uncelebrated. But let me tell you a secret: the ones who are feared by demons are the ones who fear nothing within themselves. You may be one of them, and if you are, I want you to listen closely. This message is for you. Let me take you back. I once knew a young disciple who arrived at the monastery carrying pain deeper than his words could express. His eyes, though silent, held the sorrow of lifetimes. He did not speak for the first 3 months. He simply sat, breathing, watching, weeping in silence when no one looked. Most thought he was broken, but I recognized something else: raw spiritual fire, the kind only forged by betrayal, abandonment, and the loneliness that eats at the soul in the dead of night. We watched him, he watched us. But it was not until the 4th month that he approached me and asked one question: Master, why does it hurt so much to exist? I smiled, not because I had the answer, but because he had finally asked the right question. You see, pain is not your enemy, it is your fire, and the elite 1%, they are not those who avoid pain, but those who walk straight into it and find themselves waiting on the other side. Let me ask you, how many nights have you laid in silence, wondering if anyone sees you? How many times have you been the strong one, even when no one knew you were barely holding on? That, my friend, is not weakness. That is the path of a dark chosen one, a spiritual warrior with no sword, only scars. We were taught that strength is loud, but the truest strength is quiet, the kind that doesn't shout, but endures, the kind that keeps walking, even when every step feels like bleeding. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I encountered a man who lost everything: family, fortune, his own will to live. He came to the temple not seeking peace, but a place to die quietly, yet day after day. As he sat in the garden, the trees began to whisper back. The wind started answering his unspoken grief, and one morning he looked at the sky and smiled. I asked him, "What changed?" He said, "I realized the storm was not sent to drown me, but to reveal that I was the storm." That, dear listener, is the awakening of the 1%, the realization that you are not broken, you are becoming. And not everyone will understand you, because you weren't born to be understood, you were born to transform. This is why demons avoid you, because you already walked through their world and came back with your soul intact. When the universe chooses a soul to carry divine fire, it often wraps them in the coldest shadow. So if your life has felt too dark, too heavy, it's not a curse, it's consecration. Even in my own journey, there were years I wandered alone through silence, so deep, it threatened to swallow me. No applause, no validation, just long walks in the rain and endless talks with the sky. And yet, something beautiful happened in the stillness. I stopped looking for light and became it. You are not here to be average, you are here to endure, evolve, and awaken others. So, to those watching this now, if your heart is weary, your soul tired, your path lonely, remember this: you are not weak, you are refining, you are not forgotten. You are hidden for a purpose. And when the time comes, the world will feel your presence, not as a storm but as the stillness that comes after it. Now, let's sit with this, breathe in. Feel that heartbeat, that's the rhythm of a soul. On fire, silent but unstoppable. Let this be the beginning of your remembering. You are the one they fear, because you are the one who fears nothing within. And this is only the beginning of what I must share with you. We are now walking deeper, my friend. The path before us narrows not because fewer are allowed, but because so few dare to continue. Yet here you are, still listening, still breathing, still feeling something stir quietly within your chest. That is no accident, it is remembrance. Earlier, we spoke of pain, of solitude, of darkness. But let me now reveal something the world seldom speaks of. Your pain is not proof that you are broken, it's proof that you're still alive, still transforming. The elite 1% are often marked not by their strength in battle, but by their resilience. In silence, they carry a quiet grace in their suffering, a softness forged in fire. And most of the time, no one sees them coming. Because the greatest warriors do not raise their voices, they raise their vibration. Let me explain. There's a story I once heard from an elder in the far mountains. A man whose presence was like sitting beside a still lake at sunrise. He told me of a young boy who was abandoned as an infant, raised by the forest, nurtured by nothing but nature itself. No names, no language, no human touch. One day, a traveler stumbled upon this boy, now a young man, silent, strong, barefoot, with eyes that pierced straight through the soul. The traveler asked, "What are you?" And the boy replied only, I am what remains after everything else has gone. That is the essence of the 1%. They are not defined by what they have but by what they've survived, and in that survival, something sacred is born, an inner stillness that even chaos bows to. You see, demons do not fear power, they've seen power, they were born in power. But what they fear is purity born of pain, a soul that chose love over bitterness, compassion over vengeance, stillness over screaming. It's not that the elite 1% are untouched by evil, no. It is because they looked evil in the eye and chose not to become it. You may be feeling this now, some strange sense that you've always been on the edge of something unexplainable. People misunderstand you, some fear you, others try to mold you, and most never really see you. But you were not meant to be seen by everyone. Only those who see with spirit eyes will recognize who you truly are. In my younger days, I used to seek approval, to fit in. Even as a monk, I believed that to be wise meant to be liked by all. But wisdom, my friend, is often lonely. And I had to learn the difference between being liked and being aligned. When I stopped trying to fit in, I began to fit within, and in that stillness, I met myself, not the version the world wanted, but the soul underneath all the masks. And that's what I want you to do. To take off the mask, not for others, not even for me, but for you, the true you, the raw, aching, powerful, divine you. The elite 1% do not need approval, they need space, to heal, to grow, to remember who they were before the world told them who to be. Let me ask you gently, have you ever found yourself shrinking to make others comfortable? Holding back your truth so you wouldn't lose love, suppressing your light to keep the peace? If you have, let me remind you, a light dimmed for others is not peace, it is a slow death. The path of the dark chosen one is not to fit into this world, it is to reshape it, quietly, powerfully, invisibly at first, and then unmistakably. And you don't do this through force. You do it through presence. I remember an old woman who visited our temple once. She had no titles, no wealth, no social power. But when she entered a room, everyone fell silent, not because of fear, but because her presence commanded reverence. She had no ego, no arrogance, just depth. And I learned that day, the most powerful ones in this life do not control the room with volume. They command it with vibration. You, too, have that gift, but it must be awakened. And it starts not with changing the world, but by sitting with yourself. In silence, in honesty, in love. You are not here to save everyone, you are here to embody truth. And in doing so, those who are meant to awaken will. Now, place your hand on your heart. Feel that? That is your power, your proof, your presence. Even demons fear it, because it cannot be controlled. It cannot be bribed, it cannot be broken. It simply is. And now, I ask you to breathe deeply, let your shoulders drop. Let your soul remember, you are not lost, you are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming. And this is only the beginning of what is being revealed to you. Welcome back, you've walked with me through the shadows of pain, and into the stillness of your own remembering. Now, we step into the mystery that surrounds you, the signs, the symbols, the sacred language your soul has been whispering all along. You see, the elite 1% are not just forged through pain and silence, they are marked by spirit, marked by dreams, feelings, synchronicities, and sometimes things they cannot explain to anyone. These are not coincidences, they are calls, whispers from a world beyond this one, urging you to awaken. Let me begin with the dreams. If you are one of the dark chosen, your dreams have never been ordinary. You may have seen yourself flying, leaving the earth behind, traveling through dimensions that words cannot describe, or perhaps you've dreamed of ancient temples, gates of light, dark oceans, and always the feeling that something is waiting for you there. Something familiar, something sacred. That is not fantasy, that is memory. You are remembering places your soul has traveled. Because when the universe chooses a soul to be among the elite few, it gives them previews, visions of what they must become, and warnings of what they must avoid. And often, the chosen experience dreams that shake them, falling into darkness, being chased by shadows, waking up in tears, unsure why their chest feels so heavy. These, too, are sacred. They are not punishment, they are purging, your soul shedding what it cannot carry forward. And the signs don't end when you wake. Oh no, the real world becomes the dream. Have you noticed numbers repeating? 111, 333, 777. These are not just patterns. They are messages, spirit nudging you, reminding you. You are not asleep, or perhaps animals cross your path in unusual ways, crows that follow, owls that watch, cats that stare deep into you like they know, because they do. Nature sees what humans ignore, even moments of intense déjà vu, when time folds and you know you've lived a moment before. Those are markers, proof that the veil is thin for you. And if you're nodding silently, heart racing as I speak, then yes, my friend, you are remembering because you were meant to. You were not sent here to be ordinary. You were sent to bring light to places most fear to go. That is why your life has felt heavier, not because you are cursed, but because your soul was trusted. The divine does not burden the weak. It refines the strong through trial, and the 1% are refined not once but constantly. Even your body, it may reject places, people, energies. You may feel drained around certain crowds, physically unwell in noisy environments, or repulsed by meaningless conversation. Not because you are antisocial, but because your soul craves depth, craves silence, craves truth. There's something else, too, the sacred loneliness. This, perhaps, is the most telling sign, a deep, constant sense that you do not belong, not fully. Even surrounded by people, you may feel distant, watching life as if from behind a veil. Because you are not here to blend in, you are here to build a bridge between worlds. This loneliness isn't a punishment, it's an invitation to connect not just with others, but with the divine within yourself. I remember my years wandering alone. Long before I became a monk, cities filled with people, yet I felt invisible. Not because I was unseen, but because my essence was too loud for those with shallow vision. And I tell you this with compassion, you will not be understood by many, but those meant for you will find you not because you shout, but because your vibration calls them home. Another sign, you've always sensed when something was off even when no one else did. You walked into a room and felt the tension before anyone spoke. You knew when someone was hiding pain, even behind a smile. You picked up energy like air. Because your intuition isn't a skill, it's a survival mechanism of the soul. You are more than human. You are interdimensional, and that truth, though terrifying to some, is liberating when embraced. You have lived many lives. You've played the role of the warrior, the healer, the hermit, the priest, the rebel, and in this life, you are here to remember all of them. That's why you felt like you're carrying too much, because you are. But that weight is not yours alone. It's ancestral, it's cosmic, it's karmic, and you were chosen because you're strong enough to transform it. Now, take another breath with me. Inhale, exhale. Let this moment be a vow to stop apologizing for being deep, to stop shrinking so others feel tall, to stop hiding your light to keep others comfortable, because the world is not dying for more noise. It's dying for more presence, your presence. And if demons fear you, it's because they recognize what you are becoming. And they know they can't stop it. The rest of the world may not yet see you, but I do. And in this sacred space, may you finally feel seen, not just by me, but by yourself. You've returned again, and each time you choose to sit here, even in silence, you reclaim something that was once taken from you, your power. And now, we must speak of this power not in the way the world defines it, but in the way the soul embodies it. You see, the elite 1% of dark chosen ones are not made powerful by titles, gold, or recognition. They become powerful by surviving what was designed to destroy them. Their strength is not flashy, it is quiet, grounded, like a mountain that stands unmoved, even as the storms rage around it. But how do they activate this strength? How do they awaken what already lives within? That, my friend, begins with acceptance. The very first step toward activating your true power is to stop rejecting your story, your pain, your betrayal, your isolation. They were not mistakes. They were initiations. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. You are not here to become something you are not. You are here to return to what you already are but forgot, and to return, you must accept the scars as sacred. Let me tell you a story. There was once a warrior monk who spent 7 years in solitude after losing everyone he loved in a fire. He did not speak, eat in silence, and wept every night. One day, a novice approached him and said, "Master, how did you survive such pain?" The monk looked up, eyes soft but unbreakable, and replied, "I stopped asking, 'Why me?' and I started asking, 'What now?'" That shifting question changed everything. You see, many suffer, but only a few choose to alchemize that suffering into strength, and that choice is what separates the many from the elite few. So let us ask now, together, what now? How do we walk with power not over others, but within ourselves? Here are the 3 sacred practices that the elite 1% live by, whether they know it consciously or not. You may already be doing them without realizing, because this path lives in your bones. 1. Radical presence. You cannot change the world if you are absent from yourself. Power begins with presence, pure, grounded, embodied awareness. It means slowing down, feeling your breath, noticing the silence between thoughts. When you are fully present, the entire universe begins to listen. Demons flee not because you shout, but because your presence becomes unbearable to illusion. Practice this. Put your feet on the earth, close your eyes, breathe, and feel everything without running. In that stillness, you begin to remember who you are. 2. Spiritual discernment. Dark chosen ones walk among both angels and shadows, so they must learn to discern, not judge. This means recognizing the energy behind the mask. knowing when a smile hides manipulation, or when silence holds more truth than 1,000 sermons. Your power is your intuition. It is ancient, it is sharp, and it must be honored. Stop doubting your knowing. If something feels off, it usually is. If something drains your energy, it is not for you. Discernment is not about fear. It is about alignment. And when you live in alignment, the forces of darkness cannot attach to you. Because you become to clear, to confuse, to hold, to fracture, to peer, to possess. 3. Sacred sovereignty. This is the crown jewel of power. To be sovereign means you own your energy. You do not beg for love. You do not chase approval. You do not betray your truth for comfort or company. The elite 1% understand that freedom is internal. No matter the chaos outside, they are anchored inside. And how is this achieved? By choosing truth even when it hurts, by walking away even when it's lonely, by trusting your path even when no one else does. Let me share a personal truth. Years ago, I was asked to become a senior monk in a temple of great prestige. But something in me whispered, this is not your path. It made no logical sense to say no. But I listened, and instead, I walked alone for 3 years through jungles, across countries, into places of deep isolation, and there in the silence, I found everything the temple could not give me: clarity, depth, power, and peace. That is sovereignty, to trust your soul even when the mind rebels, to follow the whisper even when the world is screaming in another direction. Now, let me ask you, are you ready to stop betraying your calling? Are you ready to step fully into the life you were chosen for, even if no one claps when you arrive? If your heart says yes, then your power has already begun to awaken, because true power is not something you find, it's something you allow. And in allowing yourself to be fully seen by you, you become untouchable. Not because you fight harder, but because you no longer need to fight at all. Your stillness becomes your sword. Your clarity becomes your armor, and your love, yes, your fierce divine love, becomes your greatest rebellion. So I invite you now, place your palms over your heart, close your eyes, and repeat softly, I do not fear the dark, because I am the fire within it. Let this be your mantra. Let this be your mirror. Let this be your return. You are still here. That tells me something sacred. You are not only listening, you are awakening. Not with urgency, not with fear, but with the quiet power of one who has walked through storms and now walks with purpose. We've spoken of your pain, your solitude, your power, but now we arrive at the part that many fear. Your assignment. Yes, my friend, the elite 1% are not just marked, they are sent. Not to shout from the rooftops, but to walk silently into the world, carrying light where others carry weapons, offering truth where others trade in illusions. You were not chosen for comfort, you were chosen for transformation. And that transformation does not end with you. It flows outward, touching everyone who crosses your path, often without a single word. Let me be clear, not everyone will recognize your purpose. Some will misunderstand you, many will project their fears onto you. Some will even call you dangerous. Because those who carry truth in a world of lies often appear as a threat. And yet, the true ones continue on, not to convince, but to radiate. Because your purpose is not to be understood, it is to be lived. So what is your assignment? Dark chosen one, it varies, but there are patterns, and if you listen closely, you may recognize yourself in these roles. 1. The mirror. You walk into people's lives and they begin to see themselves clearly, sometimes for the first time, not because you speak much, but because your energy reflects truth. It awakens what is buried. Some will love you for this, others will resent you. Do not take it personally. You are the mirror, and mirrors do not lie, they reveal. To the disruptor, you are not here to maintain the illusion, you are here to break it. That is why your presence often triggers discomfort. It's not because you're negative, it's because your soul carries light intense enough to expose shadows. And when those shadows see you, they flinch, not because you are wrong, but because you are real. On this, do not shrink for comfort. Disruption is a sacred force when rooted in truth. 3. The bridge walker. You move between worlds, spiritual and physical, light and shadow, silence and sound. You may feel pulled into directions at times, but this is your strength. You understand both realms, and that's why you can guide others through their darkness. You've walked through your own hell and came back with directions. You are the one who knows how to carry a candle without letting the wind snuff it out. 4. The healer. Even without formal training, your words bring comfort, your presence eases anxiety. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts, not because you say much, but because your frequency speaks before you do. And healing doesn't mean fixing everyone. Sometimes healing is just holding space, witnessing someone without judgment, letting them know they are not alone. That is healing, and that is what you do. But your assignment, it's not always easy. There will be days you'll want to go back to sleep, to forget your purpose, to numb yourself again. I understand, I've been there. But remember this, the calling will never leave you. It will wait patiently at the edge of your awareness. Sometimes it will whisper, other times it will roar. But it will not give up because your soul agreed to this before you were born, and even if you fall, even if you get lost, the path will always open again. Because the divine is not looking for perfection, it's looking for presence. How? To carry your assignment without burning out. This is where many fall. They awaken, they remember, and then they give everything away until nothing remains. But let me offer this wisdom. You are not here to bleed for others. You are here to breathe for them. And to do that, you must protect your energy as a sacred temple. Not everyone gets access. Not every cry deserves your intervention. You are not a savior, you are a guide, a mirror, a reminder. Let me share a practice. Every morning, before I leave my dwelling, I sit in silence and say, may I give only from overflow. May I speak only from clarity. May I walk only in truth. This is my shield, my vow, my boundary. You must create yours, not out of fear but out of respect for your light, because when you are full, your presence becomes a gift. But when you are drained, your mission becomes a burden. So now, I ask you gently, are you ready to live your purpose not as a title but as a frequency? Can you walk in the world, not seeking to be seen, but seeking to see? Can you hold your power not with pride, but with peace? Because if you can, then the universe will move through you in ways you cannot imagine. You were not chosen to be above others. You were chosen to remind them of who they are. That is your assignment. And whether you accept it quietly or rise into it loudly, it is waiting for you. You've come far, my friend, and now we are nearing the final threshold. You are no longer simply listening. You are embodying. You've remembered who you are. You've accepted your scars. You've claimed your power. You've begun walking your sacred assignment. But now we must speak of something greater still. The final transformation of the dark chosen one. This is where most fall away. Because what comes next requires more than strength. It requires something rarer than discipline. Something more powerful than knowledge. It requires peace, not the peace that is quiet when all is calm, but the peace that remains still even in chaos. The kind of peace that sits on a battlefield and does not flinch. The kind of peace that demons cannot touch because it vibrates too high for fear to grasp. You've been forged through pain, but now you must be shaped by peace. Living in the world without losing your soul. This is the mark of the final transformation. To walk among distraction and not be pulled, to witness betrayal and not close your heart, to hear the noise of the world and choose silence anyway. The elite 1% are not invisible because they hide. They are invisible because their spirit no longer clings to illusion. They see the world for what it is, a mirror, a school, a dream, a stage. And because of this vision, they are free, not detached in coldness, but in compassion. You will still cry, you will still feel, but you will no longer drown. Because your soul now knows how to float in fire, facing spiritual warfare with stillness, not struggle. Spiritual warfare is not always loud, it is often subtle. It comes in the form of fatigue, doubt, sudden distractions, unexplained heaviness. The dark chosen one must not respond with panic but with presence. When you feel that weight pressing against your chest for no reason, pause, breathe. Return to stillness, not to resist but to remember. You are not the battlefield, you are the observer of the war. And sometimes, the most powerful defense is not armor, it is clarity. When you are clear, energy cannot stick to you. You become like the wind, untouchable, untraceable, yet always moving with purpose, the rarest form of power, peace that cannot be disturbed. Let me ask you something. Can you walk through the noise and remain soft? Can you face betrayal and still choose love? Can you watch the world burn and still plant seeds? Because that is the final mastery. Power is not in domination, it is in stability. The final stage of the dark chosen one is to live as a silent sanctuary. To be the eye of the storm, the center of gravity, the grounding pole others lean on without being pulled out of alignment. And this cannot be faked, it must be lived. It is cultivated in small, unseen moments, when you choose breath over reaction, prayer over panic, stillness over strategy. It's when you no longer rush, you no longer chase, you no longer explain yourself. Because you have become what you were always meant to be, a lighthouse, still, rooted, illuminated, the final reflection before your rebirth. Before we cross into the final chapter together, I ask you to reflect on 3 sacred truths. 1. You are no longer here to fit in. You are here to activate. 2. You are no longer here to fight. You are here to illuminate. 3. You are no longer hiding, you are arriving. And perhaps most importantly, you are no longer becoming. You already are. The monk I was 20 years ago would have still sought the mountaintop. Today, I realize the mountain is within. And so it is for you. You've walked through fire, you've danced in shadow. You've sat in silence long enough to hear the voice of your soul, and now the final page awaits. And so, here we are, you've listened. You've reflected, you've remembered, but now it is time to return to your life. Not as the one who began this journey, but as one who has awakened. Let me speak to your soul, to the part of you that always knew. You were never meant to live an ordinary life. You were never meant to conform, you were never meant to be understood. You were born to stand at the edges, to whisper truth where there is noise, to shine in spaces that forgot the light, to feel what others numb, to see what others deny. You are what I call the dark chosen one, not because you are evil, but because you are the light that descended into shadow to recover what was lost, and that makes you rare. It makes you feared, and it makes you needed. The final lesson, silent radiance other, is a secret known only to those who've walked through fire and emerged in stillness. It is this: your presence is your message. Your energy is your legacy. Your peace is your rebellion. You no longer need to explain who you are. You no longer need to prove what you know. You no longer need to chase anything, because when you embody truth, life comes to you, and the demons that once circled you, they no longer approach. Not because you fought them, but because your frequency rose too high for them to breathe. They cannot hold what is light, they cannot bend what is still, they cannot corrupt what is rooted. So now, walk the world like a silent temple, unshaken, unapologetic, sacred in every breath. Your mission from here: you are not here to awaken the masses. You are here to awaken those who are ready, even if it's one person, even if it's just the child watching you quietly in a market, even if it's the stranger who feels peace in your silence. You are here to plant seeds, not to force them to bloom. Let life unfold at its rhythm. You only need to walk as truth. The true dark chosen ones, they don't look for followers, they inspire leaders. They don't demand power, they radiate sovereignty. They don't announce their greatness, they live it quietly. So if you are tired of explaining your journey, stop. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be felt. A final word before you go: I offer you this: there will still be storms. There will still be moments of doubt, but you are no longer walking as a seeker. You are now the sanctuary. When others waver, you will hold steady. When others panic, you will breathe. When others forget, you will remember. And when you are tempted to dim yourself again to be accepted, remember this: you were not chosen to be accepted, you were chosen to be authentic. And in that authenticity, you become untouchable, not because of arrogance, but because of alignment, not because of pride, but because of peace. You are the one who walks barefoot through fire and leaves no ash behind. You are the one the dark cannot consume. You are the one that even demons whisper about, because they know your light does not flicker. It burns clean. You are no longer in training. You are walking as the teaching itself. Remember this: you do not need to seek the divine. You are the divine remembering itself. Now go. Walk in truth, walk in silence, walk in power. And may all that is not aligned with your light fall away with grace. I will see you again when the world forgets and the soul remembers. Until then, be still, be free, and never doubt the sacredness of your steps. Fade out with soft music, monk silhouette against the setting sun. If this journey stirred something within you, leave a candle emoji in the comments to show the world that the dark chosen ones are awakening. Share this message with someone who walks in silence but carries a storm inside. Subscribe to walk deeper with us. Breathe, reflect, rise. Your mission has only just begun.